Today, dear viewers, your favorite diplomacy superhero, Florida Man, follows up on the game I was so ostentatiously eliminated early from, Media Wars 2. We're checking up on how things have gone, how my predictions about the game have fared, and whether we can learn anything else from how the game has proceeded now that it has moved into 1909. Starting from where we left off, in fall 1904, where I was eliminated, I'll go over the events that have happened since then, and we can discuss my predictions after that. Spring 1905. France and Italy are clearly shifting toward fighting each other now. Why Italy couldn't do that while I was alive, I'm not sure. Germany doesn't move anything because all his moves are bounces. Russia goes on the defensive with Austria and Turkey united against him. Fall 1905. France occupies Belgium and convoys into Tuscany. It looks good for him if he occupied Belgium with German consent. Otherwise, I don't imagine it will be possible to hold it, since France is sending everything he can spare south. Germany gives up Denmark too, which also looks potentially deliberate, bringing German hard power to a low ebb, but I can't help but wonder what German soft power looks like right now. Russia's getting a beating in the south, but with Germany apparently attacking Austria, Russia might come out okay. Italy will be overstretched, dealing with France, Germany, and Russia, which seems to be the coalition at the moment, attacking Italy and his ally of Austria. The build phase further supports the hypothesis of a coalition. Germany destroys an army that might be threatening to Russia, and France builds a fleet. Spring 1906 seems to suggest France is giving Belgium back to Germany, although France has not made any really solid forward progress against Italy. Russia returns Denmark to Germany. Turkey chooses to betray his only ally, Austria, in favor of trying to join the winning team. We'll see how that works out. Austria is still desperately defending, without really having sufficient strength to overcome the opposition. Even more of an impossible task, with Turkey piling on. Italy is defending much more successfully against France, although again, it seems likely this success will be temporary unless someone jumps on France soon. Fall 1906 was somehow a skipped season. Weird things happen on Backstabbr. The consequence of that strangeness is that Germany, France, and Turkey get new armies, without having to really fight to keep their new centers. Spring 1907, Germany moves into the North Sea, while France moves into the English Channel, as if they're each preparing for some minor conflict. In the south, France smacks his head into a brick wall named Italy, which I imagine must have been frustrating. Turkey, Russia, and Austria's situation in the south remains stable. Fall 1907, Germany stabs France, vigorously, while at the same time France supports Germany into Venice, and France also vacates English Channel. This is basically a fatal season for France. I'm not sure how the French could get out of this. Russia goes into Denmark and receives Turkish support into Budapest. Turkey also gets Greece. Austria's days are numbered, and the numbers are getting smaller. Italy is probably going to become a Turkish possession at this point. Looking at spring 1908, the game is basically continuing in the same direction. France is trying desperately to defend himself, while Germany fully invades, and Austria implodes. Turkey for some reason vacates Naples. Fall 1908, Germany continues killing France, even supporting Italy back into Venice, which France had taken in spring. Russia gets Romania, due to suddenly and inevitably betraying Turkey. Austria takes Greece back from Turkey, with Turkey giving it up willingly to keep Austria's center count stable at 2. In the build phase, Germany and Russia build armies, while France destroys the unit that was defending Liverpool for him, and for some reason keeps the Turanian Sea Fleet. I can't help but wonder if this was something like a submission gesture, aimed at Germany and Russia. Maybe France is trying to say, "Stop kicking me while I'm down, I promise I'll be a good janissary. Look, I'm going to go after Italy." Turkey's destroys made more sense to me because they were clearly oriented toward defense. Spring 1909, the German-Russian coalition continues destroying France. On the other hand, perhaps the fact that they're not making progress anymore against Austria and Turkey will cause them to break up. France attempts to defend itself, but it's now in the sort of position Austria was a few years ago. France won't survive unless it makes an alliance with another power trying to defend against the Germans at this point. Or perhaps if Russia jumped on Germany suddenly. So let's review my predictions from before. I think France will be a part of any draw, no matter what. The French player has been very strong thus far, probably the strongest of all of the players, in terms of the effectiveness and consistency of French diplomacy that I observed. Even if Germany stabs France right now, and I do think this is probably Germany's last chance to do that effectively. Germany will never be secure enough in the center of the map to be able to finish France off. Germany has no real prospect of help in taking France out either, because Italy's feeble offensive against France has petered out, and France has ample forces to defend against two powers at once right now. Russia's position looks pretty good too, since Germany invested himself in attacking Austria, and it will be difficult for Germany to disentangle himself from Austria to turn on Russia anytime soon. If Germany does try that, Germany will immediately lose Vienna. Austria has been keeping themselves alive with pure resourcefulness, determination, and flexibility, but I can't imagine that will keep the Austrian alive until the endgame, although I do think Austria deserves to get there. Turkey is doing a bit better, and I would probably bet on Turkey just barely surviving right now. Italy made the classic Italian mistake in diplomacy, which is to be indecisive and not manage to accomplish much early on. I expect that mistake will probably ultimately be fatal. It looks like I was correct about Turkey. He's on a path to survival. That's just the merit of the Turkish position. Not much to say about that, except that hopefully he'll eventually break out of the box. Italy is still alive, so he's doing slightly better than I expected, but it seems like that's only because France is doing much, much worse. Russia continues to do well, which fits with what I was expecting. Austria is just about dead, which is sadly exactly what I expected. In short, I think my predictions were very good, with two massive, notable exceptions. Germany and France screwed up my vision for the future. The biggest surprise for me revisiting this game is how much I underestimated the position and skill of Germany. In my last video, I predicted Germany would fail to keep Vienna. Germany would probably not get a good chance to stab France, and France would be a part of any draw. Germany has proved every prediction I made wrong, acquiring Trieste, taking Paris, and generally dominating a large portion of the map. His failure to communicate with me now looks less like negligence and more like he already knew he had France wrapped around his little finger. So what do I predict for this game now? Well, France is going down hard. Germany and Russia are going to have to fight to decide who board tops or solos. I would bet on Germany at this point. I'm betting it will turn out that Russia made a mistake in helping make Germany so strong. Italy might survive, with its home centers and little or nothing more. Turkey will survive because Turkey can't easily be eliminated by Russia and Germany working together, no matter how strong they get. Austria continues to hang on, and I am rooting for them to survive. We'll check in again when the game ends, if I remember and remain interested. What I'm really interested in now is, will Russia stab Germany before France is gone? If Russia does that, I predict that Russia will be the board topper or the solo winner, if Russia can find a good moment in which to do so safely. If Russia can't do that, then Germany will have the massive edge going into the endgame, and in that case I certainly predict that Germany will win. I think there are some good lessons to take from this game. One of them is, if you're France, don't always take the low-hanging fruit. Don't assume that the Franco-German alliance will automatically be safer for you than an Anglo-French alliance. Because if the German player is too strong and has too much influence over what's going on the map, that can be a big long-term problem for you, or even a big short-term problem for you, as France discovered here. Another lesson is that when there are two massive powers crushing another power that you're working with, you shouldn't one-dot them. I'm looking at you, Turkey. You basically helped destroy the Austrian defenses much earlier than they needed to be destroyed. Other than that, I think that the lessons to be learned will probably only be accessible to the people who actually know the message history that's going back and forth right now, which I'm no longer privy to as someone who is no longer in the game. I do welcome comments below for those who are still in the game and want to explain how things have turned out the way they did. I hope you enjoyed this sequel. If you did, you should check out more videos from the Florida Man Production Studios, and feel free to toss us a like and or subscribe. We here produce consistent, bi-weekly content based in the noble game of diplomacy. If you really value that stuff, you may even want to consider joining my Patreon, or finding other ways to support the channel, like these good folks. Comment below if you have your own predictions for how this thing will end. And until next time, Florida Man out.